Success doesn't come to those who wish for it. It comes to those who think for it, plan for it, and become the kind of person worthy of it. High achievers aren't just lucky, they're intentional. They build their lives like an architect builds a cathedral with vision, structure, and unshakable belief. So today, let's talk about the mindset of high achievers, the way they think, the way they act, and the way they keep climbing long after others have stopped. High achievers are visionaries in motion. They live with a powerful blend of foresight and urgency. They dream in decades but act in days. They can see 10 years down the road, yet they never lose focus on what must be done before the sun sets today. That's what separates them from the crowd. Most people get trapped in one of two extremes. They either dream without doing, or they do without direction. High achievers, however, marry both. They know that every great outcome begins as a small, consistent action. They understand that a masterpiece isn't painted in a single stroke. It's the result of 1,000 deliberate movements. So, while others chase instant gratification, the achiever is patient, not passive, but patient. They sow seeds daily, trusting that time will do its part if they do theirs. When they start a business, they're not thinking about next week's profit. They're building a brand that will outlive trends. When they invest in their skills, they're not looking for applause today. They're preparing for opportunities tomorrow. Their mind is tuned to the long game, but their heart beats for the now. They don't postpone effort until the right time, because they know the right time is always now. You see, that's the real difference. Average thinkers wait for motivation. High achievers move with mission. They act today as if the future depends on it, because it does. They understand that every day is a brick, and how they lay it determines how strong the structure will be when their dream finally stands tall. So they plan long, but they work short. They look far, but they move close. They never let the distance to their goal discourage them, because they've learned to fall in love with progress, not perfection. They know that success doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives piece by piece, earned quietly through daily effort, until one day, the world calls it luck. That's the mindset. Think like a visionary, act like a soldier, dream like an architect, work like a craftsman. Because the future only belongs to those who have the patience to plan it and the discipline to build it, one short-term action at a time. High achievers live by one unshakable truth: everything in my life is my responsibility. They don't waste a single breath blaming circumstances, people, or luck. They've learned early that the moment you give away responsibility, you also give away power, and they refuse to live powerless. When something goes wrong, they don't point fingers, they look inward. They don't say, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "What can I learn from this? What must I do differently next time?" That simple shift in perspective is what separates those who grow from those who get stuck. Average people wait for someone to fix it. Achievers get to work fixing themselves. They understand that excuses are easy. They make you feel safe, justified, and comfortable. But they also make you weak. You can have excuses, or you can have results, but you'll never have both. The achiever chooses results every time, even when it hurts, even when it's unfair, even when the blame would make sense. They still take ownership because they know responsibility is the foundation of freedom. You see, when you take full responsibility, life becomes simple, not easy, but clear. You stop waiting for the world to change, and you start changing yourself. You stop hoping for better conditions, and you create better habits. That's why high achievers move faster. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect timing. They decide, and then they act. They treat every setback as a classroom. Every failure becomes feedback. Every difficulty becomes a test of character. While others say, it's not my fault. Achievers say, it's still my move. That's the difference. The achiever knows that even when life deals a tough hand, they still choose how to play it. They've mastered the art of accountability. If they make a mistake, they own it. If they fall short, they admit it. If they succeed, they share credit. This mindset builds strength, integrity, and respect, qualities that attract opportunity. The world eventually rewards those who take charge, because leaders are born from responsibility, not excuses. So if you want to rise higher, stop explaining why you can't and start acting on what you can. The moment you say, it's on me, everything changes. Your focus sharpens, your energy returns, your potential wakes up. That's the power of taking responsibility. It's the moment you stop being a victim and start being the author of your own story. And once you become that author, you realize that no matter how the last chapter went, the pen is still in your hands. High achievers have learned one of life's greatest secrets, that motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent. Motivation may start the journey, but it's discipline that carries it across the finish line. They don't rely on feelings to decide their actions. They rely on commitment. They know that if you only work when you feel like it, you'll never build anything that lasts. Motivation is like a spark. It burns bright, but fades fast. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps burning even when the excitement is gone, even when no one's watching, even when it's hard. High achievers don't chase the mood to act. They act until action becomes their mood. They understand that discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's the ability to control your actions regardless of your emotions. They wake up early not because it's easy, but because they made a promise to themselves that their goals matter more than their comfort. They go to the gym when they're tired. They study when they're bored. They practice when no one's clapping. Why? Because they know that greatness isn't born in moments of inspiration. It's built in moments of repetition. The average person waits to feel ready. The achiever knows readiness is a myth. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You become ready by beginning. Discipline bridges that gap. It turns intention into execution and execution into results. That's why you'll find high achievers calm when others panic. They've trained themselves to do what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel. They've learned to trust the process. They understand that consistency compounds. One disciplined act may seem small today, but multiplied over time, it becomes unstoppable momentum. Discipline builds self-respect because every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You start to trust your own word. And when you trust yourself, you don't need external motivation to move. Your integrity becomes your engine. Discipline is the silent strength behind every success story. It's what turns ordinary people into extraordinary performers. It's the difference between wishing and winning. The achiever doesn't depend on luck. They depend on the habits they've built through discipline. So when the mood fades, and it will, discipline remains. When the excitement dies, and it always does, discipline stands firm. And when life gets heavy, discipline becomes the proof that your dream still matters. That's why high achievers value discipline more than motivation, because they know motivation makes you feel good for a moment, but discipline makes you proud for a lifetime. High achievers understand that success is not a solo performance, it's a symphony. They know that the people around you either pull you forward or pull you down, and that environment is stronger than intention. You can have all the goals in the world, but if you're surrounded by small thinkers, negative talkers, and excuse makers, your fire will eventually dim. That's why achievers are deliberate about who they let into their circle. They surround themselves with winners, not necessarily the richest or the most famous, but those who are driven, disciplined, and hungry for growth. They seek conversations that stretch their thinking, challenge their habits, and sharpen their focus. They understand that iron sharpens iron, and dull company dulls the mind. If you walk with people who expect excellence from themselves, you'll soon start expecting the same from you. High achievers know that association is contagious. Spend time with complainers, and you'll start complaining. Spend time with visionaries, and your vision will expand. They protect their energy like a treasure because they know negativity is expensive. It costs time, focus, and ambition. So they choose people who lift their standards, not lower them. People who talk about ideas, not gossip. People who celebrate growth, not comfort. They also understand that success isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being in rooms where you're inspired to grow smarter. They intentionally place themselves among people who intimidate them a little, because discomfort is where development happens. They don't want to be the best in their circle. They want to be among the best. They understand that proximity to excellence transforms you in ways motivation never can. And here's something most people miss. High achievers aren't just looking for what they can get from others. They're looking for what they can give. They contribute, they uplift, they add value. Because they know that when you help others win, you win too. Success multiplies in environments of mutual growth and shared purpose. They choose mentors who challenge their thinking, friends who remind them of their standards, and partners who hold them accountable. They don't tolerate energy drainers or time wasters. Their circle is tight, but it's powerful. They understand that one conversation with the right person can accelerate your growth more than years of effort in the wrong environment. So they choose wisely. They guard their circle the way a king guards his crown with vigilance, because they know one truth: you cannot live a high-level life with low-level associations. The people you walk with determine how far you'll climb. That's why high achievers don't just build success. They build a network of winners, thinkers, and doers. They know that when you surround yourself with excellence, excellence becomes your normal. High achievers live with a deep awareness that there is no finish line. They know that success isn't a place you reach. It's a person you become. The moment you think you've made it, you begin to drift backward, because growth stops the moment pride takes the wheel. High achievers never allow that. They keep learning, keep adapting, keep stretching. They understand that evolution is the secret ingredient of long-term greatness. While most people chase comfort after a little success, achievers chase challenge. They don't settle in their achievements. They build on them. They don't see success as a resting place, but as a launching pad for something greater. They understand that the world changes, the game evolves, and the only way to stay relevant is to stay a student. Even when they become masters, they keep a learner's heart. That's why you'll find them reading when others are relaxing, reflecting when others are celebrating, and asking questions when others think they have all the answers. They don't cling to how things used to be. They ask, what must I become next to reach the next level? They are in constant transformation, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. High achievers are not addicted to results. They are addicted to progress. They wake up each day with gratitude for what they've accomplished, but with hunger for what's still possible. They know that success can be a trap if it makes you complacent. So they live by a simple rule: the goal isn't to arrive, the goal is to advance. They also understand that growth often requires shedding parts of yourself that no longer serve your next chapter. Sometimes that means outgrowing habits, relationships, or even beliefs that once helped you but now hold you back. It's not easy. Evolution never is, but it's necessary. High achievers choose growth over comfort every single time. They are humble enough to admit they don't know everything, and wise enough to seek those who know more. They welcome feedback, they embrace failure, they see criticism as correction, not rejection. They understand that every setback, every lesson, every new challenge is a teacher, and the student in them is always ready to learn. The beauty of their mindset is this: they don't compete with others. They compete with who they were yesterday. They measure progress not by trophies or titles, but by how much wiser, stronger, and more disciplined they've become. That's the essence of their growth, internal before external. So while others slow down once they taste success, achievers accelerate. They don't just live life, they expand it. Because they know that as long as they're breathing, there's more to learn, more to give, and more to become. High achievers never arrive. They keep evolving. And that's why their journey never ends. They live in a state of constant creation, building, refining, improving, not because they have to, but because they get to. It's not a burden, it's a privilege, because to them, true success isn't about reaching the top. It's about never stopping the climb. So, my friend, if you want to live like a high achiever, begin to think like one. Take ownership, stay disciplined. Choose your circle wisely, keep growing, because success doesn't start in your wallet or your title. It starts in your mindset. And once you master that, there's no limit to what you can build, who you can become, or how far you can go.